YouTube, welcome back. Got ourselves another dump trailer here. Let's take a look at what we got to do. So it may be a little hard to see on the video, but this tube here, which is the hinge point for the dump this way or for the door this way, this tube has been filled with water, and that water has frozen time and time again, and it's bowed out these walls to the point that this hinge, or the lock on the hinge down here, can't lock because it is interfering. So we're gonna have to cut this out, cut this hinge off, cut those hinges off, and cut him out of the door and replace him. And then this door is pretty good, but we got to get this board out, and it's swelled and rusted in there. We're starting to get some swelling here, so we're going to drill a relief hole to drain. This side, the hinges are both shot, so if you can see closely here, somebody drilled out the barrel hinge and just dropped a bolt through that one. You can see the shank on that bolt is nowhere near big enough, so we're all sorts of misaligned. So this door, it does open and close, but not very smooth. You can see it's super misaligned here because it's got so much droop in the hinges. So we're gonna cut these barrel hinges off, weld new hinges on, and the way to do that, I will show you, but the best way to do that is cut them off, shim it in place, and clamp everything, and then weld the hinges on, and it stays right there. And then we also have a doozy right there. This bar is supposed to be straight across. That would be how you hook ramps onto this to drive a tractor, and they want to be able to haul a skid steer in this, so we got to fix that as well. So our biggest issue is going to be this guy right here. I'm going to start by taking this board off so the door's a little more free. I'm going to see if I can just lift the door off with the gantry crane. And then this from the factory, I would assume that's probably been bent like that the entire existence, because they only welded the outsides. And so you can see a gap on the inside of both of those seams. But we need to straighten that out a bit. So, but yeah, we get this fixed and they won't need this chain anymore. But yeah, it's pretty bowed. I don't know how to get the camera to see it very well. See that radius there. So, but yeah, it's interfering through here, not allowing that to close all the way. So, anywho, it'd be a decent amount of maybe plasma cutting, but definitely some grinder skinny wheel and some grinding to clean it all up. And then we'll put some new material in. So if you look down in there, you can see this has water up till that rust spot right there. So I got this, the board was stuck in there, it's rusted in there, so I drilled it out and hit it with a punch, but you can see that this has water in there too, almost as deep as that one does. So one of the biggest fixes is going to be to add drainage to these. So maybe a hole right there on the edge so it can weep to the outside, a hole right there. We'll do the same on those two over there, the one on the right side of the door and the one on the hinge of that right door. So anywho, we got that off. So now I'm going to bring the gantry over and lift this door off those hinges and get this post isolated. So I lifted the door up and cleaned this seam that was super dirty out, and that allowed this to close a little bit more. You see the interference. So you can see there's light there, but then we're contacting it all the way down, and then there's light there again. So anywho, that guy's got to be replaced. We're gonna get this door lifted off. These hinges, the bases are welded, so the top portion of the hinge is on the door, so the door should be able to lift off there. And then cut that off, cut off from the cross member on the tailgate, and then we'll just cut a new piece, put it in, and weld hinges back on. The post is cut off. It is so full of debris, it's crazy. That's all gunk that's inside. I drilled a hole here to drain it, it didn't drain. I drained a hole there to drain it, it didn't drain. Finally drilled a hole there and drained all of it. But I'm gonna cut these hinges off, cut this off, and cut this hinge off, and then this is a tarp strap point, so we'll cut that off. Strip this down, chuck that in the garbage, weld all of this back onto and then we'll transfer all of these things onto this new piece. This is 1/8 wall, this is 3/16, so it's a little more robust, but it still will allow for a 2x4 to be inserted in there, or a 1.5 by 1.5 inch square tube. So let's get to cutting. So I have all of that stuff removed. I'm just gonna clean up the edges on everything, and then I'm gonna actually clamp everything in place on, I'll clamp everything in place on this bar. I'll clamp this bar to the trailer and I'll weld everything to it in position so it fits correctly. I'm debating back and forth whether or not I want to replace these hinges, and I think I'm going to if I can find some in town. I don't have this same size, so I need to go see if I can find some. So we have the new piece clamped in position. I have it sitting at exactly 27 inches of height, which matches that side. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get 2 really heavy tacks on each of these hinge pieces, and then I want to pull this socket off that I'm using to clamp that in position and weld those out. Once I weld the outside, I'll probably take this off and shoot as much of the inside as I can reach, and then we'll put it back on and we'll weld to this guy. I have a spacer in there to create a gap so that I have a fillet weld that'll be a lot stronger. So we'll get that welded out, take it off, weld the inside like I said, and then we'll bring it back, put it back on, clamp it again, and then we'll weld this portion out. I'm kind of thinking that I want to stick weld this. I like the strength I get from stick welding with 7018, and I like the fill rate and the heat that I can put into it. So I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing, is I'll stick weld all this together, and then I still gotta run to the store and buy the 4 bullet hinges. We're all welded up here. So I'm gonna run to the store real quick and get my new hinges. As you can see, these are just trashed. So anyways, they're not supposed to have a hole all the way through. I'm gonna go see if I can find any hinges. I'll get right back and get a new battery in you guys and continue this project. Got some hinges. They're overkill, but they're all that was available. They're a little shorter than the old ones. So the old hinges were 6-inch bullet hinges. These are barrel hinges, but they're larger diameter. If you look at that pin. And so they'll be quite a bit stronger. So at any rate, we'll get those ends cleaned up on that side, get those old hinges cut off, get the old hinges cut off the doors, and then we'll weld these on, mount the doors. I'm gonna do probably, if I have space, 1/8-inch spacers all around the doors. I like to clamp spacers in so that when I weld it, it's nice and centered. So let's get that going. As you've already seen, the old hinges are 3 inches long. New hinges are 2 inches. And so I'm gonna have it sit like that. In order to make it not look goofy, I'm gonna hack off that corner that sits there and kind of round it off, and that'll look better. So I'm gonna mark these out and hack them off. Trying to decide if I want the upper hinge high and the lower hinge low kind of spread out, or if it even matters. So I have this 1/4 inch flat bar just laid across the bottom. I'll set the doors on that, and then I think I have enough space to do 1/8 inch gap on the sides for the reveal. So I'm gonna first get these set up in position and see what space I have side to side. Doors are pretty dang smooth, I'd say. We got this trailer tied up, I think. We got the hinges all the way around done. We got this guy straightened out. He was dented and bent. We got the stop. So these are on there so that when you're bouncing down the road and the doors are closed, the hinges can't slide up, so they hit into the bottom of that right there. So the door locks work. Got the chain tied back on, and they swing, I mean, nice and smooth. So this one actually, even if I get it past halfway closed, it'll close itself. So I'd say these new hinges are nice and smooth. Lock shut. There is a little unevenness, and I found that the whole trailer's kind of tweaked and the door's kind of tweaked, but all of this is welded in nice and secure. They do have a little bit of a bugger on that weld. All those are welded uphill 7018, and I'm a little out of practice, so there is a smidge of undercut, and I'll show it to you, and the keyboard commandos can tell me that undercut. So there is a little bit of undercut. I don't claim to be the best stick welder, but I definitely will say that those aren't gonna break. So anyways, keyboard commandos, tell me how much undercut sucks. I will agree with you. But other than that, I think this is all tied up. Got that fixed. This whole door is fixed. The hinges are all replaced. So I think we're ready to take this back. One last thing I do need to do is I need to drill some holes in that door. This vertical right here needs a hole drilled in it so it can drain, and this one as well. So I grab the drill out, get those 2 holes drilled, and this thing can hit the road. Thank you for watching. I appreciate the support. Like, comment, subscribe. Definitely comment, definitely subscribe. Thanks for watching.